Hello everyone and everything, and welcome back to more Hollow Knight! As evidenced by my really cool looking health bar up there, in the last episode we cleared out the hive and tackled a lifelong fear of bees. In this episode we are going to hopefully get a map of this place so I can better illustrate the things that we have and haven't already done. And luckily I happen to know we're not too far from such a thing. Starting once again from the bottom of the Kingdom's Edge. We're not very far from everything we did before. I mean, this is literally the hive right here. I could wall jump off it if it weren't made out of a really weird... shoot! That's what I get for trying to demonstrate something. Yep. Alright, get used to jumping back up long distances here, by the way. We are in the Kingdom's Edge, and this is among the tallest areas in the game. Let's see. Yep, so we're going to go right over here. I don't think there's anything that way. I am very glad to have the hive blood, of course. I do really appreciate this charm and everything it does. That felt cool, but it didn't go that well. Apparently those little beelets are very tanky. They don't look it. Oh well. Oh, nice. We got a little secret right down here. Asks us to make sure we've got Isthmus Tier. We're really close to Isthmus Tier, actually, as shown last episode. If you hadn't already gotten it by this point, this would be a great time to get it. And we are back in the hive. I said we were done. I lied. Kinda. I mean, like, that's this little room here is all there is to it. And now we are officially completely finished with the hive. Nothing else to it than that. Rude. And right over here, a little breakable wall gets us into the Kingdom's Edge proper. We can see many ruins, or at least some sort of structures. Things that we might find familiar if you've been looking very closely into the background of things like the City of Tears. We can also see a piece of paper and hear some very familiar humming. There's our friend. Isn't this a cozy hole? I've been venturing around the wilderness beside here and thought a moment's break was well called for. The landscape's all rather serene this side of the city, though the inhabitants are as ferocious as ever. A map, most certainly. We get the achievement Cartographer for getting the last map in the game. And that completely fills everything we've got. We can see that Kingdom's Edge and the Hive are technically separate, but all included in the same map. Thank you, Cornifer. And we can see we've got a ways up to go from where we are. Judging by this wall, the city's folks seemed hesitant to build further into these caverns. I wonder what kept them at bay. Well, we're probably about to find out. As we go through here, we're seeing some corpses literally falling from the sky. Similar to these ones that we've got right here laying on some of the platforms. Oh no. Alright, remember what I said about falling. But, if we head on up and over this way, we'll find something pretty neat. If we head up here, we won't see anything that we can do as yet. Just some doors locked to us. But avoid the bellflies. Like a master. Perfect. And we'll get ourselves a little adorable friend. I wonder what number that puts us at. I actually... Ow! Okay, well, so much for avoiding those things masterfully. But, swim our way through there and we'll find some very familiar ground indeed. Back in the King's Station. Heck yeah. I'm gonna take this opportunity to, for the first time in a very long time, unequip the Mark of Pride. I know, buddy. I'm sure you'll be back on in a bit. I'm just gonna go ahead and equip the compass and Grimchild. That seems like a good set. And back in the Kingdom's Edge, you see why we do have that third flame over here in this room. Real quick before we jump down, though, we're gonna hop all the way up this wall, higher and higher still. find an extremely well-hidden Wanderer's Journal, because we really hurting for money at this point. I only have 20,000 geo. Now that's about as everything that we can get in this chamber upwards, so we're gonna jump on down now and get our Grimkin fight of the moment. And miss dreadfully. Luckily, as long as we got the little Grimchild here, we can at least do some chip damage. Come on. Rude. Oh no, okay, at least he follows me. You know what? It's fine. I don't like you. These enemies are just a pain. Way too much health, you move way too jittery. At least, okay. Alright, now we're in the water. Did I get him? No, I got entry for something else. I'm losing health faster than the honey is regaining it. Okay, I'm consumed. And, well, that gives a good opportunity to talk about the drawbacks of the honeycomb. It seems that as long as you're willing to absorb its heavy charm cost, it seems like it'd have no downsides, but there is a pretty clear-cut bad aspect of it, I should say. And that is that when you take a hit, a lot of the time, it's very easy to focus more on the status of its regeneration than it is to actually focus on dodging the thing that hit you in the first place. If you can get past that, if you can just decide to roll with the punches and not worry about your health while you go on about your business, it is an excellent charm that does any number of wonderful things. But if you're easily distracted, might not be the one for you. Now we just found a primal aspid, a rather notorious enemy, wild or ancestral form of the aspid. Once thought extinct, they have reappeared at the edges of the world. Despite being the apparently lesser evolved versions, they are much more ferocious. You can see they fire 3 projectiles with every shot, and avoiding them is just a fool's errand, I have to say. Seems the angles were just chosen so precisely to make sure that it goes as wrong as possible every time. But not to worry. Whoa! Big guy. Did that guy do 2 damage? I didn't actually register. He didn't. Okay, whatever. Then, I mean, probably shouldn't just ignore him. Great hoppers! Another thing with the honeycomb is that you might decide, well, it's almost healed. I'm not going to focus just yet, because it's right there. Another thing that can cause you to take more damage than you otherwise would have, because you might forego a perfectly good opportunity to heal, and then get hit anyway, and lose the entire reason you decided not to heal. All things that can go wrong, but I personally think that it's worth risking all of that, all of the above. Plus, it just looks cool, and you know, rule of cool, always worth it. Now, we've seen a house like this a couple times before, and a bug very much like this one, Nailmaster Oro. How did you find me? Down here where the world ends. Yes, I know why you're here. You came to learn the nail art from the legendary Nailmaster Oro. It is the law of the great nail sage that I must pass down my teachings to those who are worthy. But no law forbids me from extracting payment for my time. If you truly wish to train under me, prove it with Geo. He's the only one of the 3 to charge us. Apparently, the thrill of the art is not enough for him anymore. We did hear a little bit about Oro sealing himself down at the edge of the world for one reason or another. This might just be adding on to that. But of course, we've got the Geo to spare. Gasol! And with that, we mastered the Dash Slash, our 3rd and final nail art. Release the button while dashing to perform the Dash Slash. I must say, you are an excellent pupil. Your skill with the nail and your thirst to become stronger. You remind me of my brothers. I've taught you all I can. Go back into the world, traveler, and leave me to my solitude. Give him a little bow, of course. Read his thoughts as any respectful student would. Brother Mato, in your lonely home at the top of the world, do you still think of me as an enemy? In the future, if you will listen, I will tell you why I chose to tread this path. He seems, in a few ways, to be the most tragic of the three. Definitely the most excluded, as evidenced by the fact it took us so long to get here. We get a nice little map upgrade. Good stuff, good stuff. And while I'm here, we're going to go ahead and equip the Spore Shroom. As random as that might seem. And Soul Catcher. I think that seems okay. Head off over in this direction. Now, something nice about that cutscene is that it actually did fill up our soul for us. And we've got a little training dummy here, which, for some reason, has thoughts, stronger brothers. I mean, it doesn't seem like negative thoughts. Maybe these are just the thoughts imparted onto this dummy while training. But that would make it the only non-living thing that seems to have dreamable thoughts that we've seen so far. I don't know. It's a little bit beyond me. Now, just to make sure that you can indeed do what is necessary here, there's a little soul totem and a spot to crash down. And there's a lot more to come where that came from. It's gonna make sure we are not using our soul frivolously. Which means I don't want to take out these guys with spells, and I don't want to get hit by them. Although if I do get hit by them, I do have the ideal charm for this situation. Now there's a secret around here that I can never quite remember exactly where it is. Yike! So hopefully I can find it without too much trouble this time. Yet more soul, always a pleasure. And crashing down ever further. And oh, yikes. Apparently these guys are not at all amused by spikes. That's just kind of rude, isn't it? Luckily you can't get me through here. Aha! Now, let's see about this direction first. Nice. Ideal platforming skill. Why aren't you affected by spikes? Drawing enemies into spikes is one of my favorite things. It must be the long legs. So then I need longer legs. Ouch. Freaking... There's so many stalactites. Jeez. Where'd you even come from? Okay, let me look around this area real fast. Ah, there it is. Here's the thing. Little breakable wall right on the inside here. An enterable cavern with another desolate dive spot. Another one. Ouch. Rude. A Geo Rock, which is definitely not what we came all this way for, because there's yet another spot leading pretty much deeper than we've ever been. Oh, I guess we've been further down. Another one! And... surprise of surprises, yet another. It seems by the rocks around here we are down in the abyss, or at least the is that what it was called? What was that area called? The Ancient Basin. Make sure we have another bit of soul. Hitting something as we go down here. And the largest Geo Rock in the entire world. But, as cool as that was to find, a remarkably, I want to say persistently hidden secret. Not exactly like super well hidden, although I did say I always have trouble finding it, so it's pretty well hidden, but more so hidden by virtue of just making sure we have everything we need to get down this far. However, on our ascent back up, if you stop right around here, you can actually see some little spores hovering around this area. And I believe those are only there because we have the spore shroom on. So let's hit these walls, see if there's any breakable ones that are preventing our progress. Ah, there it is. Tiny little jump here. We can find a mushroom lore tablet, pretty far from the fungal wastes. And once again, only readable with the spore shroom equipped. We speak the path of the Master Herald, he who would signal in age's end. Spawn of self, their minds unite, aside the source of acid blight. Aglow in darkest, winding depths, winds all howl above fossil stone steps. Monarch flies in air set still, to root's domain, and snail once shrill. Path of worm, at new lands entered, there's journey ends, the kingdom ventured. Probably the most cryptic thing we have seen in a while. If you are huge on treasure hunting, or secret hunting at least, I would recommend writing that down or taking screenshots or whichever suits you. Because that very, very strange set of words does have meaning, and we will be following that meaning in due time. As soon as I get out away from these spikes, once again, apparently I just need longer legs. Isn't that just the story of our lives? That's okay. Every once in a while, just a little bit of light trolling. Thanks, Team Cherry. Always there for me. Whoa, that was quite the jump, Mr. Man. Now, something that I am definitely noticing that I didn't really realize is that the Howling Wraiths, I think it's called, the Upward spell, is not great against pretty much anything that can be knocked back at all. Because it does have 3 hits to it, but the first one just about always knocks them away, which is not really that strong, as long as that's what's happening. But right up here, an enormous husk. Pure. Well, he guards something. The Quick Slash charm. A very, very powerful charm that increases the speed at which we can spam our attack. It's something that I know a lot of people would have preferred to get sooner. For some people, it is the very cornerstone of their charm builds, the same way Mark of Pride is for me. It's not my personal favorite, but I can definitely see its applications. You can drastically increase your DPS with the use of that charm, which is all well and good. Now we are going to continue on upwards a little bit, just as soon as I grab all the money in the entire world. For as much as we have, there's no such thing as too much money. There's always such thing as too much money. There's literally a limit to the amount of things we can spend money on. But you know, I like the money. Saw another one of those dark barriers, which we are still incapable of passing through by this point. Ooh, already got entries left and right for that. I'm not really interested in knowing what the hunter had to say about these guys, which makes me think I've probably never read their entry, so we're gonna read their entry. This hopping thief's belly is full of the blood it has stolen from other beasts. If you hold it above a fire, the belly will grow and grow until it explodes in a streaming shower of fluids. Hunter, what? Why? Why are you doing that? That's... Oh my goodness. Alright, well that was worth it, I think. If nothing else, just for the shock value. Open up a little shortcut and a little secret. Okay, I thought I was definitely gonna get hit there. More Wanderer's Journals. Once again, more money. The life of a wanderer, for whom money is never enough. Hey, Mr. Guys, I don't need you. Alright. Continuing on and on and on. Whoa, okay. That was awesome. Alright, got that. Got that, Mr. Grub. I wonder how many of those I'm even missing by this point. It can't be that many. Pardon me. Again, my dear friend, Primal Aspids. There's, this game has a very, very healthy modding community. It gets new mods, like, on a daily basis, it feels like. People have figured out how to make it multiplayer, they've added their own bosses, all sorts of stuff. And I remember at one point I saw this sort of clickbaity thumbnail for a mod that was a Primal Aspid with a machine gun. And I remember sometime along the line thinking, it's like, who would win, or who would be most likely to take out the knight? Would it be the final boss of the game, the secret super boss, or a Primal Aspid with a machine gun? And I just remember, it's like, well, obvious joke. A Primal Aspid doesn't even need a machine gun to take out the knight. And that is how it feels. Getting past those guys without getting hit just feels like pure luck. A little sign is pointing us upward to a bench. And trusting in signs is the true purpose. Man, that's another Wanderer's Journal. That's like 3 in as many minutes. This ash is trapped. That sounds ominous. We're kind of outside right now underneath a tent. This is an interesting area. With a really, really cool looking bench. I like this spot. Now before we travel onwards, I will say there's a boss coming up, so fit yourself out however you please. Whatever's your favorite stuff. There, that seems nice. These are some of my absolute favorite charms. I am ready to make short work of whatever lies ahead. Now, as we're going through here, we're starting to see a lot of very odd plant-ish structures. Obviously, Hornet was just there, who I completely didn't draw attention to. Sort of look like roots, but they're going the wrong direction. And the further in we get, the more of this ash that we've been seeing everywhere seems to sort of flood the screen. But down here... So, you'd pursue the deeper truth. It isn't one the weak could bear. Prove yourself ready to face it. I'll not hold back. My needle is lethal, and I'd feel no sadness in a weakling's demise. Show me you can accept this kingdom's past and claim responsibility for its future. Yes, ma'am. The Sentinel of Hallownest brings her full might to bear upon us. We've beaten her once before, but perhaps think of this like her own version of a dream rematch. Faster, tougher, more versatile. She's gonna come at us with absolutely blistering speed. I mean it. Watch close and you will see that she barely leaves so much as a frame between the cooldown of one attack and the startup of the next. And unlike dreams, this time the danger is all too real. And in Steel Soul, our life is on the line. And she's coming at us with a record-breaking 8 attacks. Pardon me if my list here looks a little more squished than usual. I formatted it for 7, so... Anyway, returning in high form, the Lunge. The Aerial Lunge. The Pearl Hurl. The Jumping Spider. The Gossamer Storm. And still the most dangerous, Walking Forwards. New to this fight are the Counter Stance. And the Spike Weave. As you may expect, all 6 returning attacks function exactly as they once did, only faster and far more frequent. It has been a fair while since that first fight though, so let's run them down again. The Lunge is the standard dash attack that we've gotten very familiar with by now, countered as ever with a jump and a pogo for good measure. The aerial lunge is a little trickier due to its variety of angles it can launch at, but shallow angles are best dodged by jumping, steeper ones best dodged by going underneath. Although now's a good time to bring up the fact that a lot has changed since our first encounter with Hornet, not least of which is the ability we earned by defeating her in the first place, the Mothwing Dash. Dashing underneath her is an especially easy way to avoid dodging this attack in all but the most extreme cases. The Pearl Hurl feels like it's had the most significant decrease in windup, so the projectile nail can catch you unawares if you're not hanging at a safe distance, but otherwise no change. Once again, the surprise thread yank back maneuver is the only version of this attack, so it's definitely not going to be fooling anyone this time around. It's faster than before, of course, but with our dash, so are we. So clearing the distance of a thread to get in a strike is easy as can be. The jumping spider is as difficult to dodge as most jumping maneuvers are these days. It's got the speed, it's got the random chances of being used as an attack aimed at you, or just as a means of relocate, so as always, we're going to maximize our chances of avoiding it by keeping our distance. Thankfully, she seems to rarely, if ever, use it to jump more than a third the length of the stage. The Gossamer Storm is probably her easiest attack to dodge now that we have the dash. Just dart away whenever you see her strike that pose. This attack does finish up way faster than it once did, though, so gone are the days where we could easily land a full volley of Vengeful Spirits when she used it. If you're gonna launch a spell at her, just use one, then get back to dodging. Walking forwards is probably a little less threatening now that it's easier for us to dash away after we attack, but I still fear it greatly. Ah well. Keep your distance, it's the safest way. Now, for the new attacks, the counter stance reminds me of the Pearl Hurl, in that it only really has its surprise factor the first time. Basically, she'll raise her nail up in this defensive position, and if you hit her with your nail while she's in that pose, it will harmlessly glance off of her, and she'll respond with this wide slash. If you don't hit her, she'll just drop the guard in a moment. This really isn't an attack worth worrying too much about. It has a short windup, so it's probable that she'll block one of your attacks before you could possibly have reacted to the guard coming out, but the time it takes for her to respond with her own slash is pretty generous, and as long as you dash away as soon as you hear that sound, you'll be just fine. The Spike Weave is the biggest curveball that Hornet's going to throw at us. She'll only start using this at about 2/3 of her health, and you can think of the spikes she summons as small, immobile enemies. They'll remain in their spots until you hit them with an attack of your own. Bear in mind that spells work just fine for that task. Much like most summoned enemies, clearing them away should be a very high priority, as you really don't want them to hinder your abilities to dodge the rest of her attacks. However, since they don't pursue you, like Lostkin's balloons for instance, it's a lot easier to worry about them later if Hornet has you otherwise pinned down. At the very least, just try to clear out your immediate area using the window between their appearance and Hornet's next attack, and you can utilize the time allotted by attacks like Pearl Hurl and Gossamer Storm to clear out some of the more awkward ones. Our plan of attack here has hardly changed despite how much the both of us have grown. We're going to let her come to us once again. Center stage remains your best friend, but distance from Hornet in between attacks takes precedent. Above all, you just don't want to get caught by her deciding to walk towards you while you're right next to her. Focus on getting in all your damage during her attacks, like landing a nail pogo while she lunges underneath you. My number one tip here is not to get greedy. It will be tempting to try and land just one more attack while she's cooling down from her last maneuver, but that cooldown is frightfully short, so this is a surefire way to get yourself hit unnecessarily. The fight will take a little longer, but patience is key. As I said, the Spike Weave is the biggest complication. All it takes is one poorly timed jumping spider, and she can strike you down while you're trying to clean up the spikes. So, just like her, try to only focus on attacking the spikes while she's attacking. Of course, she can also be staggered, and that's an excellent time to swipe away some of the spikes, as well as the only window you're gonna have to heal. Only heal 2 masks at most, mind you. We're getting to a point in the game where staggers are lasting for shorter amounts of time than they used to. Now, she may not be quite as powerful as some of the dream rematches we've fought, but she stands as a bewildering test of our speed and agility. Now all we have to do is prove that we're faster. I absolutely adore most aspects of this fight. Her little needle thing, there's one bit of added difficulty that comes from it that I don't think was intended, and that is the fact that I mean, we'll see it in a bit, but I'm kind of colorblind, I think. I've never been, like, tested for it, but I find these needles to really blend in, and I've had to basically just get used to looking very specifically for them. Jeez, that was really fast. What you got? From where does it draw this strength? Anything else? Nope. So strong. You could do it if you had the will. But could you raise your nail once knowing its tragic conception, and knowing yourself? Then do it, ghost of Hallownest. Head onward. Burn that mark upon your shell and claim yourself as king. Hornet, what are you talking about? Alright, well, I guess whatever's down here must be pretty important. Now, this looks somewhat familiar. It's on its side, but these 4 prongs do look very similar to the iconography of the King of Hallownest. Wherever this is must be something of significance to him. The cast-off shell. Well, this is a really big shell. And this appears to be some sort of egg. Can we dreamnail it? We cannot. We have been marked by the king's brand. Hallownest shall recognize a new ruler. The kingdom's gates will open. I did it! I'm king! I rule the world now! Except that now the shell is collapsing. Well, shoot, we better teleport out of here. Oh no, we can't! Oh gosh! Crystal Dash, go! I knew you had a soft spot for me. Could have left me to die. No sadness in a weakling's demise. My foot, Hornet. You like me. I know you do. Just as much as I like you. No. That remains to be seen, depending on how good your game is. Anyway, I'm trying to not talk about Silksong too much, but I think that is a pretty good note to end things on today. We literally became king of the world. I don't think we need to say too much more than that, but we have also found our way quite a bit higher up here in the Kingdom's Edge. In the next episode, we'll see just how much more lies in wait for us. See you guys then. Oh, shoot, and if you like this episode, I'm going to bury you in a cast-off shell and an avalanche of ash or something, and I'm not going to save you, and neither is Hornet.